whisper of the heart. When you think of people behind Studio Ghibli, the first ones you'd obviously think are the co-founders that are also the big directors like Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata, since they are also responsible for some of the most important Japanese animated features of all time, like My Neighbor Totoro, Grave of the Fireflies, Spirited Away, The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, and many more. However, they weren't always the only directors who would make Ghibli films. Sure, later on we would have Hiroyuki Morita, Hayao son Goro, and Hiromasa Yonebayashi, but the first attempt to have a third director on board in the studio was back in 1995 with Yoshifumi Kondo, who has already worked with both Miyazaki and Takahata for many years, even before the days of Ghibli. Sadly, even though he showed a lot of promise to become Studio Ghibli's next big director, Kondo passed away in 1998 at the age of 47, leaving his first directorial contribution to also be his only one. So now that we're taking a glimpse into the teenage life of Shizuku, will the movie contain as much wonder as the antique shop, or does she really need to sharpen up her writing skills? Let's find out. The story. In a general sense, the movie tells a coming-of-age story driven by romance. However, the way that it's told is through a slice-of-life setting. The prime focus of the film is not necessarily on the main character Shizuku herself, but rather what she wants in life and what motivates her to achieve it. In a way, it could count as a character-driven story as well, because it's all about the people of the film and what they're going through. With the slice-of-life aspect, it helps give the movie a very down-to-earth tone where it steps away from the usual fantasy Ghibli environment in favor of a relatable suburban area, showing how these events can easily happen in real life, on top of themes that can be applicable in any teenager's life, like complex love triangles and making the decision of what to do in life. Because of the way it's more character-driven, these themes get their message across well to emphasize the characters' emotions and what it means to them. Sure, what they're going through might look cute and funny to some, but since they're teenagers, they feel like it's just an entire basket of life-ruining drama. When bringing in the romance aspect, that's where the movie contains more of a narrative plot than most slice-of-life films of its kind. However, this is where it might develop some flaws. At the beginning of the film, Shizuku notices a name that always appears in the checkout cards of the books she would get from the library, and ponders who could that mystery person be. Let's be honest, knowing these romance films, how obvious is it that she's gonna end up hooking up with that guy? Especially when everyone in her class seemed to be so excited about it like it's the biggest gossip of the school.
Shizuku, can we talk for a minute?
Sure.
Check it out! You got a boyfriend!
But to the movie's credit, at least the execution made it better with its strong characters so that audiences want to eventually see them get together. Even though the romance might have slipped in some predictability, the humbleness and relatability of the story are what make the film engaging to watch. The animation. As it is set in a more realistic setting, it's not the kind of Studio Ghibli film where imagination would run wild with fantasy and bursting with colors. Well, except for this scene.
That's it! We're riding the air currents! See that tower? We'll clear it in a single leap!
Despite that, the animation is still quite a spectacle to watch. Even without some of the creativity, there are still a lot of the signature elements that would have this count as a Ghibli film, like the tamed anime-style character designs and the detailed painted backgrounds. When looking into how they're done here, the goal of the animators is to really bring life onto realism. How do you get the audiences to engage with the film by using the ordinary? Well, for starters, the character animation is used more to capture their feelings, to play around with how fast or slow they can go, depending if they feel happy and motivated, or just down on themselves. Either way, the movements are done to be simple and straightforward to have them look real. As for the backgrounds, they can often be the highlight of the visuals in a Ghibli film, and this one is no exception. What makes the background so amazing to watch is the way they are so detailed to capture the grand scale of Tokyo and seeing it from several angles. From the heart of it to look around its familiar neighborhoods, to getting a good view of the entire city from a high spot.
From the balcony, this time of day is the prettiest.
If there would be any criticism towards the animation, they would honestly just be minor nitpicks. Throughout the film, the frame rate would constantly shift from smooth movements to choppy like an anime on TV, and the places that Shizuku goes to are very limited, so the film ends up running around the same areas over and over. But again, they really don't undermine the quality as a whole, and the animation provided in this feature is still as stunning as any other Ghibli film. The characters. With a coming-of-age story, one of, if not the most important thing to get right is to have strong and well-written characters, because they can either make or break the entire feature. This movie also has the extra obstacle of being placed in a realistic setting, so it doesn't have any help from novelty imaginary concepts to get audiences' attention. Not only do the characters here succeed in carrying the whole movie, but they are also the reason why this film is beloved by many. Let's begin by looking at Shizuku, a 14-year-old girl who always loves reading books, but is then questioned about her future and what she wants to pursue in life when she would encounter a few people that would become a big influence, rather to learn how to take on the right approach or to have someone that can inspire her to do better.
I've never written anything before. I'm afraid it's gonna stink.
You sound just like all the other artists that I've met. No one should expect perfection when they're first starting out.
However, she's not perfect in what she does, and by not perfect, I mean that in a good way for the movie. Since she is just 14, she can often be emotionally unstable, and her first reaction to things is to take it like it's far bigger than it actually is. But in terms of her motives, she is doing it from the heart, even if it would end up with complications with her family and friends. As for those who Shizuku would meet, there's Seiji, the guy who at first would annoy her by acting like a smart aleck, but then would inspire her to pursue her dreams, since he is serious and fully committed about being a violin maker. Then there's Mr. Nishi, the owner of an antique shop who shows Shizuku how one is capable of uncovering the hidden talents from within. But he's not just there to be her mentor. He also has his own backstory that also explains his personal attachment with a cat statue that plays a big part in the film. There are other characters as well that guide Shizuku on her path, like her friend Yuko or her parents and sister, but overall, the movie features a great set of characters to present a fascinating piece of teenage life.
No, it's just a bit rough, dear. Like Seiji's violin. What I read was raw and heartfelt.
Yeah, that sums it up well. Whisper of the Heart is an inspiring slice-of-life tale that beautifully captures teenage love and the start of pursuing one's dream. With a rich, down-to-earth story, captivating animation, and amazingly relatable characters, it's a film that knows how to touch the heart of audiences and find themselves feel the same way as the people on the screen. Regardless of the situation, this is a movie that is worth watching. But the ones who will connect with it the most are Ghibli fans, teenagers, and those who still seek their purpose in life. Even if it's not as magical as the other Ghibli films, it still knows how to bring viewers to an unforgettable journey, and that is why it gets the AniMat's seal of approval. Hey guys, this is AniMat, and let me just say that as an animation historian, it is pretty sad when you do look at a movie like Whisper of the Heart, because you do see a lot of potential that could have been used greatly afterwards, but sadly it would never come into fruition because of the unfortunate passing of the director, Yoshifumi Kondo. Now, when it comes to Kondo, he did prove his worth. He did show that he is actually capable of becoming the next big Studio Ghibli director, like the third signature one next to Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata. Especially the fact that he already showed that he could be a great a great animation director. He has done a lot of great work with both Takahata and Miyazaki for decades. Even before they founded Studio Ghibli, he has been working with them for many years, providing some beautiful looking animation and crafted to become what we know as the style of Studio Ghibli today. And on top of that, you do look at Whisper of the Heart, and this guy actually does know how to handle a story. He does know how to handle characters very, very well. And it really shows prominently onto Whisper of the Heart. And if there was something that I wish I could have seen from Kondo if he were alive afterwards, then it would have been awesome to see what he could do with some original material. Because the thing is, with Whisper of the Heart, it was based on a manga. That's an already existing property, so both Miyazaki and Kondo have already gotten material that they could work around with. But I would like to see Kondo, what he would have done if he were given something completely original, like something that was not based on anything. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he would have given out something that would show some very strong potential. But sadly, that day would never come into light, and the only thing that we do have is Whisper of the Heart, where we would have to wonder what if he would have made more movies. Like, what if we've seen more Yoshifumi Kondo films? And sadly, that's the only one that we can look into. But I will say, his only addition certainly is a great addition. So with all that said and done, now that we are finished with Whisper of the Heart, it is now time that we shall go and move on to a Patreon request. Yes, and this time it will be coming from Red Bandit 101. So I just want to start things off by saying that if you guys would like to be like Red Bandit and you want to go and support my work and get some awesome rewards at the same time, which includes but not limited to, yes, getting a review request and also seeing my videos before anyone else, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. But at the same time, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film you would like me to review and I would put onto the animation hat, then all you have to do is write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. Now, with all that said, what is it that Red Bandit suggested to me to go and review? Well, interestingly enough, he suggested to me a religious animated film. Like, this is one that's actually based on a story that's in the Bible. And in the past, I've never really had such luck with movies such as a VeggieTales film and also Sony's The Star, which didn't really turn out all that great, especially with that twerking bird. But maybe this one can actually be more different, considering that, other than, of course, Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments, this is actually one of the more well-known film adaptations that's based on the Book of Exodus.
Shizuku, I love you!